Okay, so what we saw yesterday was that why you need the 3 days. So you have 2 days because first is a tikkun on the first day is a tikkun on the acharayim, the second day is a tikkun on the ponim, and the third day is the yichud that takes place. And this is something that's going on because of contradictions in the Rav. So we went through quickly the first two rather. Now we're going to go to the third one. Up at the top it says B'yom HaShlishi V'dechilas Alayla, the beginning of the night. Now the stalka the Mocha Mizun, the Mocha leave Zun, V'yardin Zun the Bia, and Zun goes down into Bia, the Bar Birurim Olamos Bia. So this is on the third day. This is what happens again at the beginning of the night. The Mocha leaves Zun. This is Dormita, I guess. I don't know what it means. And then they go down into Bia, Levara Birurim Olamos Bia, Lahalos and Laman, and bring them up into Mayim Nukfen. The defeat the Shachris, Chosrim Be'odim Biyachad, Im Olamos Bia, and then in the morning, he says, in the morning they go back up, all together with all of the nitzutzim from the olam from the olamos bia, the Atzilus, and he says the bia of Atzilus. So he doesn't mean bia of bia; he means the bia of Atzilus. I'm not sure what he means by that, but it's mashma that this bia is in Atzilus. But Birurim Hayumayim, and then the Birurim for the days, Hanivroim v'olam b'tefillah shachris, and together with the he says he calls them the Birurim Hayumayim Ayomim, the day Birurim, Anivrorim v'olam b'tefillah shachris, which are refined out, and they go up at the tefillas of shachris, and az zivug the Abba v'Ima, and then a yichud takes place between Abba v'Ima. B'noldim mochim chadashim yoser ma'ulav v'nimshachin lezu, and it causes more shefa. And v'la'achar mikan b'nefilas apayim, the shachris na'asa chazivug hagomor loholeda. Okay, a little bit like that is like an order that I don't recognize. He has a note here in number Daled, and let's see if we can read this note and try to understand what he's saying. So he said, "Kavavur v'nar shalom" over there, and he gives the page and site reference of V'zechel l'shonda b'kitzer. Gam noide ki habirurim hamizbaradim v'ola l'man d'zun. So this is our whole process. B'kol yom, and he says v'ola l'man l'zun. They're going to zun. B'kol yom al yedecha tefillah v'mitzvos she'osim Yisrael hanikroim bonim l'zun, which are called bonim to l'zun. Okay, so we're related. The zun is within us. And then everything that's refined out through these partsufim al-yonim over olin the man, and they go up into man the partsufim shahalechem, to the partsufim which are above them. He said, "V'hine osem birurim." Excuse me. It's impossible for them to reach a zivug. Let me read again. Hine osem bebirurim after the chem the sakin ba'osach zivug raknis saknim k'tzad so yidecha osem bezivug. So then that yichud that we're talking about, I'm not sure what yichud he's talking about. He says ayidei osem zivug v'achakach hozrim aim osem bebirurim. Then what happens is the birurim themselves go back. Ima zun together with zun, the reddest of the bar of losam od nitzutzos SHIURIM the man. They go back down again. The parts of Elyon Ahu the stocking, to the upper parts of that's the stocking. The Shochin is Akvin Sham, and so they wait there. And they're held back there. The Hemisaknim Sham Lot, and in that place they have little by little there the tikkun takes place, and they become Hemshech Zaman Ikuvam Sham Ad Bo Es Hazivug Hasheni. Now, I think I'm really not following this that well, so I want to read this one more time because I'm missing something. So he says he was on the phrase im olamos bia Atzilus of Birurim v'Hayomim, whatever he means, the day by day Birurim Hanivronim va'olam b'tefillah shachris that go up at the time of shachris. Let me read this back again. Kamavur b'nar shalom, he says, plays over there, b'zel shona b'kitzer, gam noideki habirurim hamizbarnim va'olam l'man l'zon. So we understand what that's all about. B'kol yom al yedecha tefillah v'chap mitzvah she'osin Yisrael and nikroim bonim l'zun. He said, "V'kein kol habirurim hamizbarnim al yedecha b'partzufim," and then all of the birurim that are refined out through the partzufim. What partzufim? I'm not sure I understand this, but if he said partzufim al yonim, v'olen the man the partzufim shalechem. So whatever it is that whatever is below is rising up to what is above it. V'hine osam bebirurim after the sakim ba'osel. But the birurim that we're talking about are not really. I'm not sure what he means by the sakim, but I guess it means to take their proper place or to enter into the upper levels. The efshar lechem the sakim ba'osel zivug. Now I didn't hear where he said which zivug we're talking about, but he said with that zivug. So he said rak nesaknin ketzatza yidecha ba'osel zivug. But they're actually whatever yichud is bringing this is coming about from this is not a complete tikkun. Now the Birurim are where? I imagine they're in Atzilus. He mentioned the word previously in the B of Atzilus, in the lower levels of Atzilus. Heim osam habirurim im hazun l'redis. So let me go back. V'achar kach hosim heim osam habirurim im hazun l'redis the marv la'alos od netzutzos. So they go back down. So it's like zun with the netzutzos that came into Atzilus goes back down. The whole process goes back down. Laman. Now, he didn't say that the Malchus goes back down, which is where we normally learn this. He says Zun goes back down. So I'm not sure what to say about that. Oh, netzutzos acherim laman, the parts of Elyon al-Kula, his stock is that they go up to the parts that's up above them, and there's a tikkun takes place there. B'shochim is afnim shom. So now in the parts of up above, and they wait there, and they held back there. V'heim mistaknim sham, and then in this place of the parts of up above, the birurim are, I guess, they're actually put into their proper form. He used the word mistaknim sham, lot, little by little. Because chemshek zaman ikuvim sham, as long as they're in this upper parts of up above. Until the time comes for the second yichud. So then what happens? And that actually becomes the completion of the tikkunim of these nitzutzos of rishonos. Now, in this explanation, I didn't hear where he said that the yichud takes place. I don't know who's having the yichud. Is it Zun? Is it Abba B'Ima, or the parts of which is up above Zun, which would be Abba B'Ima, or Yisro Saba Tabuna? I don't know. I don't know really exactly. But all the Nigbar Tikunim Sham the Netzutzos of Rishona, so the original Netzutzos that went up and then came back down, and they come back up again. He says, through the second zivug, it actually makes a tikkun in all of these netzutzos. But the second set of netzutzos, because they went up, then they came down, they went back up, but that's the original netzutzos. But he says, but the second set of netzutzos that you bring up, lo nigbar tikkunim. They're not really set up properly. They're not. I don't know what he means by lo nigmer tikkunim. The way I understand tikkunim is always being hismatus of the light. So they take their position in a way to help the light flow. But here they don't finish. They're not finished. So again, he's talking about some zivug that I'm not really sure that I got that when the zivug took place. But here, of course, we're talking about the third day is the day of the yichud. Okay, so let's read again. Kiba Archam hu zivug rishon, because relatively to them, this is the first zivug. In other words, I guess he means to say that when they go up in man, the nitzutzim, they cause a zivug. And that zivug is the first zivug. That's the zivug for what cleave, what does he call it? Ruach v'kli, cleave or ruach, whatever. Because related to them, this is the first zivug. Why? Because they came back as a result of the fact that the first man, which produced apparently a zivug, goes back down into Bia, and pulls the tzutzas back up again. But the tzutzas that it pulls up the second time are not the tzutzas that it pulled up the first time. So therefore, you have two sets there. One, which is going to be completely besukan, as a result, because what he's saying, I guess, implied in this, is that every time that you have Mayim Nukvin, it's going to produce a yichud in the parzuf that's up above it, on and on and on. So now the second, and the saknu katzat, they get a little bit of tikkun. What happens with them? Chosrim im zun, they go back down together with zun. Leireit od levarda v'la alot the tzutzas acherin laman, the parts of elyon the saken, to one that's up above it, and then there's a tikkun going to take place in the parts of up above. The gormim zivug elyon, and it causes a yichud up above. That's what happens with man. So he said, so then nigmar tikunim, then they're completed because they come back a second time. But now they go back down again, or if they do, they go down, and they have nuchad netzutzas, who zivug rishon, that's going to be a zivug rishon for the first set, kli v'rucha. And they only have a little bit of a tikkun. So it keeps going like this every single day. Now, it seems like the principle that he's saying is that when I was thinking previously of what my nukvin was, and my nukvin, okay, my nukvin. So my nukvin, great thing, it produces shefa and so on and so forth, but he says that shefa is the shefa, the rishon, the shefa. So he said, v'chein al derek zecha b'tomid chozeh chalida b'kol yom. So it's constantly going like this as it goes back down a second time. And he uses the word zun. So like a zun is an entity, which I understand the Rishash does that. So let's go on. So ad shenish l'b'kol habirurim ad kam l'shon, until all of the birurim finally come back up as a result of going up, going back down. That's the second set of Birurim. Now become the first set for the next set that's going to go back down again, because that's what happens. It takes two times. V'hainu. The Birurim lo nisaknim b'pam achas, that the Birurim are not really put into the proper position or proper function. Maybe that's better. One time. Because you're going to always have a yom echad and a yom sheni. And then he's using the word yom. So I don't know what he means. He means to say that this yichud takes place, and it stays like that for a day. That's what it sounds. But and then they have this yichud that takes place. This new birurim causes a yichud. Zivug, the hamshachas mochin the ach, biyom rishon, but the pana belom sheni. So this is part of the kind of mochin that are coming in. Yordim shuv lebi, they go back down at the bia belel yom shlishi. They go back down on the third night. Okay. V'sham osrim the vara od birurim. Now they get more birurim the yom ahu. That is on this third day. The lachem become olam b'shachris shuv l'chatzilus, and then they go back up into Atzilus and Shachris again. Okay, so this is a whole other story. This is the Rishash talking as he goes into detail, and that's what he says. So let's go on a little bit more. We have a little bit more time. Let's look at number Dalet, the number Hey rather. Let's read on from number Dalet. After we go through this process, I had really allergies this morning. Excuse me. Let's read after number Dalet. Up above, number Dalet says, V'na'aseh zivug da'aba v'ima v'noldim mochim chadashim yoser ma'ulim v'nimshachin l'zun. They come at the zun. V'la'achar mekan b'nefilas apayim. Then when you get to the point of nefilas apayim, the chakris na'aseh zivug ha'gamor l'holeda. So he went through the process. I guess I think I really would like to read this just one more time, the part at the top. He said, B'yom ha'shlishi b'techilas halayla mistalki v'mocha mizun. So this is the third day. He says, the mochin leaves zun, v'yordin zun the bia, and zug, the whole zun goes back down into bia, the vara birurim b'cholamos b'bia, l'cholois and the man, to bring them up into man. Man causes a yichud. Of a fil shachris, chosren b'olim b'yachad, im holoma. So they go back, and they go back up, with the olamos bia, with the netzutzes from the Atzilus, and he says the bia, the Atzilus. So I guess he means I'm not sure what to make out of bia of Atzilus. I mean, I understand he's talking about some aspect of it, the aspect of Atzilus, which would refer to the lower worlds of the lower levels of Atzilus. Not sure. Olamos bia the Atzilus v'chabiburim hayomiyim. So that day, Birurim v'olim b'tefilas shachris, which were already refined out, went up into tefilas shachris. V'na'aseh zivug da'aba v'im, and it caused, that's the yichud he's talking about. L'noldech memochin chadashim yoser ba'ula v'nimshachin the zun. Then all comes back down to zun again. V'la'achar mekan, that's because of the man. And the nefilas apayim, when you get to the nefilas apayim, the chakras na'aseh zivug ha'gomer l'holeda. So that is really the biggest kasha, is that he has two different places where he talks about this zivug, this zivug, that one in Tachnun and one in Sim Shalom. He hasn't mentioned Sim Shalom yet, but there's two different Yehudim, and that's one of the biggest steers over here. So let's look at number hey. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Das kama befarshim. So they're thinking of many befarshim, and he says the Shem and Shasal Shem the Alinar, Marav Aliyahu Mishan Huva Bishari Rachman. Let's go on. The benefilas apayim the chakras. When you get to that, Naasach Haziva Bekelim Apenimir the parts of Kadsha Kololim. This is the language here. When you get to Nefilas Apayim, Tachnon, and Chakras, a yichud takes place at that point. Haziva b'kelim panimi, but that's the parts of Kadsha HaKolonim. So there's a concept here now, Kadsha HaKolonim. V'lachar mekan b'Nefilas Apayim, then after that, when you get to Nefilas Apayim, the Mincha, Naasach Haziva b'kelim emseim shalahem, but v'aravis Naasach Haziva b'kelim ritzonim shalahem. So those are something else that's going on. So we have this, of course, this language we've seen before. But the important part here is that a yichud takes place in each one of them in different aspects of the kli. So he said, the ba'arvis ain't bon nefilas apayim. There is no apilas. al yadenu. Kevin sharadin gover, because this is a time of din. But Dasa Ali Nahar Sham, so the Ali Nahar thinks, this is the zivug they're talking about over there. So I have to really look at Ashkivenu again to be able to see what he's talking about. I like that. I'm not sure what that was a zivug in there, but I'm going to look for it. V'zech shekos of a Rav, he is on the Shar Kavanos and Daf Yud Tes on the base on Gimel. He says b'tefilas mincha v'arvis. During those two particular davenings, hayichud hu b'bechinas ach ba'ach. The yichud always takes place in mincha and arvis ach ba'ach. Kevin the clear on the soy hu b'bechinas chagat. Now he says, why is that? Because the kliyam soy would be considered to be chagat. So that would mean that the top, the tiva, the lamala, would be the chabad. But at any rate, he says the middle one is going to be chagat. V'kli hachitzoni bechinas nai. So he says again, came in the kli hamsoy hu bechinas chagat, and the kli hachitza, which we talk about at Marav, is the nai. Of erika kli hapanimi shuha chabad. Nechshavin la'ach. So he says that it really not, I guess he's saying that it's really not the Acharayim. He says, but if you look at the quality of the, I guess, the Yichud that's taking place in the Kli HaPanimi, which is Chabad, the others are considered to be Ach, but that means that they're not really Ach, they're really Ponim. But they're relative to the light of the Chabad, they're considered to be Acharayim. Akasada B'cholok, he disagrees. The Zova Sharak B'Defidus Apayim, the chakras, that only when you're talking about the Tachnun in the morning, Na'asa Zivug D'Kadsha, that's the only time when there is a Yichud that takes place of the 24 other Kadsha. V'Ledatach B'Defidus Apayim, the Mincha, and according to his thinking, when you get to the Defidus Apayim, the Mincha, Na'asach of Zivug D'Yisrach of V'Leah, that's when that Yichud takes place. So this is really out of order because you're dealing with several days. The Yisrach of V'Leah, the Caleb of Benimim, Kibuvur B'Shar Racham, Shari Rachamim, he says, Chelik Beis, Tshuva Reish Hey. I think we're out of time for today. Okay, thank you for learning with me today. This is Baruch Fleischman, and this is the Tikkun Elevator Kollel.